Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of Big Chris Live, the live stream, and then the podcast, which you can find after the fact on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, DeanBlundell.com, our podcast network host. And thank you for those tuning into the live stream via YouTube and on Facebook and through the DeanBlundell.com Twitter account. We got a stacked panel tonight, and I do mean stacked. Welcome to A Brush with Fame Part 1. This is a two-parted episode, and I'll kick this off by introducing a newcomer to the panel. Please welcome in the top right-hand corner of the screen, Andrew Libby. Still living in Cornwall, Ontario, Andrew?
Oh, yes. Yeah, born and raised.
Yeah, and Andrew is going to be on for a doubleheader. We're going to be back-to-back on Monday night, also with a live stream and a new podcast episode. We'll be joined by Brian from Helix in Brush with Fame Part 2. Also joining us, Mark Davis. Always love having Mark here, return guest, former white boy rapper from Windsor, Detroit. It goes without saying that Eminem is going to come up on this podcast. Mark, you've destroyed most of the evidence of your white boy rapper phase, right?
Yeah, there was a point in 2010, or I don't know, it's like 2008 to 2010 where I moved to Toronto from Windsor and just really wanted to be hard. So I started smoking weed, and then eventually I'm like, wow, Young Jeezy is awesome. I should start rapping. And then eventually I got the idea that I should record a rap CD, and then forgot about it. And then when I was moving in 2014, I found it. And I'm like, oh, my rap CD. This will be a fun memory to go through. I put it in the CD drive, listened to about 5 seconds of it, calmly took it out of the CD drive and broke it in half in front of me. And I'm like, I will not regret this.
And yeah, it's probably best that that stays buried. Although there is one photo evidence, and you're wearing it right now, the hoodie with dollar signs and diamonds on it. You still have that
diamonds
hoodie.
And dollar signs. Yeah, yeah, I haven't worn this. I can't remember the last time I wore this, but I knew I had to keep this because I'm going to have to wear it for a gag one day. And here it is. This moment has finally come.
Time for the gag. Here it is. Big Chris Live, the podcast. And when I say stacked on the panel, sometimes things happen for a reason. We had some guests who are sick tonight. And I mean, here's the first thing. Shout out to Tommy 20 tonight, who could not be here. He was going to be on this panel. He said, "Man, I'm feeling under the weather. The whole family's sick. The whole house is sick." And the first thing I thought is like, who gets sick now? Like, he's got to have COVID, right?
I really hope not. Oh my goodness.
Fuck.
Is there normal sick anymore? I don't know.
If there's normal sick. I don't know. I think that's the weirdest thing. You just don't hear that.
I think we stamped it out. So anyways, he said, hey, listen, I'll find somebody for you to fill my shoes. And holy shit, did he ever. We want to thank Dale Harrison for stepping in to be on the podcast tonight. Dale, thanks for being with us, man. And what a resume you've got. I mean, not that anyone's playing with anyone anywhere right now because of the pandemic, but if you were to play a gig in the future, who would you be playing with?
Anybody that'll have me, really. I just want to get out there and play, man.
All right.
Hey,
well,
Ken, what are you doing? What are you guys doing after this?
Well, and I do know that you make an appearance on our next guest, our final introduction to make. Ken Tizzard is on the podcast with us, and you might know Ken from The Watchmen, Canadian Icons, soundtrack to my later years of high school, and of course, bass player in Thornley, which was the soundtrack to my early years in rock radio, when I remember playlisting the first singles as a music director, and I think you were one of my early interviews, which we can talk about that later on, Ken. But Dale, you're going to be, or you already are. You've contributed to some tracks on Ken's new record, right?
I think that's like what we were talking about beforehand. Ken and I met at the Wall at Roy Thompson Hall, the classic albums, which I'm part of as well. Mm-hmm. And we just happened to be sitting right beside each other. I'm like, holy fuck, there you are, man. I haven't seen you forever. And we just started talking about collaborating on something. And sure and behold, fucking COVID just knocks the shit out of the world 2 weeks later. And then Ken asked me, he's like, man, I'm putting this album together, and I'd like you to do a couple of tracks. And I went, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
no
fuck yeah.
I recorded in my basement, record drums and stuff, and it was kind of more of I just started doing it at that time too. And so luckily for me, he had patience with who he was working with Mike, right? To go through the fucking tracks of the conks. But it ended up by being pretty cool, man. I really dig it. So there we go. We get to collaborate after all these years of touring with Headstones and Watchmen and checking out in Thornley and various shit that we've done over the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah,
shit, we'll go back.
I think our entire relationship, Dale, has only ever been like in person, for as long as I can remember. Like, I don't remember ever really speaking to you on the phone or, sort of any of that, but it's just like every time it's been in person. And now the first time we're making music together, we didn't even discuss it like we didn't talk about it. We didn't see each other or anything. It's sort of a weird thing.
I actually just want to ask about that because a lot of musicians out there have been still making music during the pandemic. Like, how much more challenging or easier is that?
Well, that's a loaded question, I think.
Yeah, big time.
Ken just finishing an album is the best suited for that. I personally, I find it easier and harder at the same time because getting musicians to record tracks at home is like fucking herding cats times two. It's like, they got a million things going on. Well, there's a fucking TV show on I got to do tonight.
Yeah.
It's like, to get them to sit down and do something. And those that do that, it gets done really quickly. But then you're still waiting for somebody who's sort of trying to get their shit together, and then you sort of have to follow it up with all this protocols, masks, and the studio and shit. And it's just
a lot more hurry up and wait.
Well, that's why I have that my new fucking project called 6 Foot Social Band. It's like that's the song out right now called "Hurry It Up." It's like I wrote it 12 years ago, but it's sort of pertinent now for "Hurry It Up." Like, fuck, let's get this thing over with.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm about ready to get back to going to shows, guys, and I really hope that when this pandemic is in our rearview mirror, that they keep talking about there's going to be a boom, a big live entertainment boom, and holy fuck, I hope so, because I know there's been a lot of people struggling and also struggling just, not just in terms of finances, but I mean, just the mental health. I mean, you guys know this better than anybody as musicians, touring musicians especially. That's why you tour, is because it's good for you, or it's something you take pleasure out of, and to have that ripped away from you, that's tough, man.
Well, you get to be around your buddies too, and then people that are your lifelong friends, you get to socialize with them. It's everybody's so removed from that now.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, if you thought tickets to concerts at the ACC were expensive before, just you wait until all this is done.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think the fun time will be the initial glut of local shows that's going to happen. International touring acts won't happen for a while. Even national and touring acts aren't going to get out crossing borders and in vans for a while either.
Yeah.
We're going to have a boom of local bands getting out, and hopefully a lot of these local bands have been rehearsing for the time that we've been locked down. And I think we're going to have a great boom of I hope people get out to support it, but at the same time, people aren't going to be going out in droves because it'll be brand new. So it's going to be a really good time to see a lot of live music in sort of not completely packed rooms. So I think I'm kind of looking forward to that, the first wave.
Yeah, the first wave that we actually want.
Yeah.
I also feel like there's going to be, like you say, there's going to be people hesitant because, it takes 20 days to make a habit or 20 days to break a habit. Well, we've been staying inside for a lot longer than 20 days. So, yeah, you're right. It's going to be a slow exodus, I think. Well, now, the
Genesis just added a show to the Bell Center in Montreal this summer.
Who did? Sorry?
Yeah. Was that Genesis, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, they announced an ACC show here as well.
Yeah, it's for November.
Yeah.
Those freaking tickets were uber expensive too.
Yeah,
like $1,100, $1,500.
Yeah,
those would have been expensive pre-COVID-19 too.
Yeah. Well, I heard the rumor years ago. Of course, Genesis would be doing it with all the original members, and then when I saw the tour coming up, I went, "Oh my God, this is going to be incredible!"
Yeah.
And I went to the website, and I didn't see the person that I was looking for, and I kind of went, "Oh, that doesn't make sense to me anymore."
Yeah, Ken, I'm with you, man. I've been waiting for that reunion too for a long time, and yeah, I don't know whether it's ever going to happen now because
I don't think it will. But I was excited for a moment.
Yeah. Now the reason
come back.
The reason that we've all assembled here is the title of the episode is A Brush with Fame, and this is all about fandom. And of course, we've got two music fans and of course two musicians, professional musicians on the podcast. Andrew, Libby, I think it's time to show off these tattoos of yours. Andrew, I met what did we do 15 years ago, Andrew?
17 years ago.
17 years ago, when I first met Andrew, he was following Motley Crue around and received every signature from the guys in the band, and then turned those into tattoos on your forearms. So maybe just put those up on the camera there, Andrew, and just show them off. Show those.
I got every one of them at a separate occasion, so it was a challenge because at the time they weren't reunited, and through that I ended up becoming friends with Vince Neil because he's a car guy and I'm a car guy and so on. And so prior to them even announcing any tour stuff, he was telling me that they're back together and that they're going to be, like anytime when he's in the, in Canada or anywhere this area, to hit him up for tickets. And I'm like, he's saying it like it's no big deal. And I'm like completely losing my mind.
Yeah.
But like it started, like I got Tommy Lee's was the first one.
Yeah.
And it was just, I met him at a hotel. I play the drums. So it was pretty cool. I've always been a fan since I was a kid, and he signed it and a couple pictures and had a good chat with him. And it was pretty low key. And then I met Vince, and I ended up doing some work for him through his charity for the Skylar Neal Foundation, his daughter who passed away to cancer. And I do like metal art, sculptures and so on. And we did some stuff for about 3 or 4 years that he had a celebrity golf tournament in California, which was, of course, like porn stars and rock stars. And that was the theme of the whole thing.
That's the only kind of golf tournament that I would ever want to fucking go to.
I'm so there.
Porn stars and rock stars. I'm like, yeah, that's the golf tournament for me.
Fuck going to it. I want that televised. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, why isn't that on the Golf Channel?
Nobody was.
Mark's got the idea.
You'd hang around each show, miss every putt, so that you hang around each green and so on. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they had a big celebrity auction afterwards. Like Aerosmith would sign guitars, and there'd be special things. And like one of them, for example, Vince had a vineyard, so I made a big logo of it's sort of like this, the logo of his wine.
Right. Yeah.
So I made a giant one of those, and then they auctioned it off with a case of wine or something like that. But I mean, for a guy, that's what he kind of drinks is wine. He made some pretty good wine, and like you can really do well with it.
Yeah.
You came up with the big red V.
Well, it's the V is for Vince, and then it's an outline of his signature, the V behind it.
Okay.
Okay. I couldn't see that from the camera.
I mean, it is Motley Crue. The V could stand for other things too. I mean,
They most definitely did.
Yeah.
I see it now. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one at the. I haven't seen it at the LCBO here in Campbellford. I guess we're not getting.
Well,
we're not getting the good stuff here.
You'll have to drive down to Queen Street for that.
That was 2003. So I think he drank it all, and then that was the end.
Oh, limited release. That's the way to go. Limited release.
Even like a year later, like there was tons of it on tour backstage and stuff like that. There was just like, here, you want to. That's what you were drinking.
Yeah.
It went down pretty good.
Oh yeah, sure. I bet it did. I love red wine. I would try it if it was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
My question for the pros in our panel, Dale and Ken, as far as being on the professional end of things, has there ever been a moment where you've seen a fan do something like that's super impressive? Maybe it's not get tattoos, but has there been anything close to that? Because I think that's one of the ultimate fanship things you can do.
Ken?
Yeah. It is uncommon, but at the same time, it doesn't seem totally strange to me. My signature is tattooed on a few of people's arms, and actually most everybody that has gotten signatures, has sort of a sleeve of signatures or something that they're collecting. And most everybody that I've given a signature to that I've gotten it tattooed, I've ended off, sort of having some kind of a relationship with. We sort of keep in touch and see each other at shows and stuff, and I usually meet them for a drink before or after.
Nice.
I guess these are sometimes. What's that?
You certainly remember them because I can't imagine from my point of view, if I was them, it's it's done as like a loyalty. It's respect that you recognize the work that the musician does and how it's impacted your life, and then you actually get to take it with you wherever you go.
Yeah.
So I guess from a musician's point of view, you're like, wow, that's crazy, because I've even Tommy said that in an interview, and he said there's this one guy in Canada, he's fucking crazy. He's got all our signatures, and I'm like, it's me.
You know you're fucking crazy when Tommy Lee calls you fucking crazy.
and I've hung out with him enough times, and yeah, he's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
He's legitimately 12 years old all the time. So you can just picture how that goes.
I think it's a drummer thing.
Must be.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm with you on that, Dale.
I think I'm 12 to 14 on average. Sometimes I act like I'm 8. Ask my lady; she'll contest to that.
I mean, I don't know how I would react to that, knowing that somebody had my name and my signature on their body for the rest of their life. That's really powerful, and that's a commitment.
Well, Headstones fans definitely do that. I mean, I've done that a lot. Signed arms and butts and breasts.
Everything else.
And a person has even gone as far as getting our faces from an album on their arm. And my daughter was on the subway one time going to school. And she's looking at her, she's going, I'm looking at this guy's arm and it looks like you. And I'm like, excuse me, what is that? She goes, oh, that's fucking guy from the Headstones. And she's like, that's my dad. He's like, oh, fuck her. And all of a sudden the guy's following her. She's like, oh my God, Dad, there's the same people that like your band out there. And I'm like, yeah, well.
Well, and again,
fans are stalkers.
I was going to say, Headstones fans are a certain they have a certain edge to them for sure, right?
It goes with the whole package from the band to the fans. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
There you go, Ken. We did a lot of road together, him and I.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I learned is that you can certainly be crazy because you're like excited, but at the same time, you have to recognize that they're, in most scenarios where you're meeting them, it isn't like a normal, it's work for them. And you want to be a normal person and not make it a big deal or anything like that. And not, interfere with what they're trying to do. And going forward, I see this because many years I've always been a fan of Helix. And they were always very fan friendly over the years. After every show, they would meet their fans afterwards. And because they've been a band for like almost 50 years, the people that come out to their shows are just like, and they'll remember them. They'll remember them from 40 years ago at some shithole hotel in Saskatchewan or something. And they'll go, yeah, I remember that. And they remember drinking together. But they got this huge loyalty. But as going forward with that, you see how these people become almost part of the family because they're respectful to it all. They recognize that they're not, it's like a drinking buddy almost,
Yeah, and I had a great chat with my last podcast guest was John Angus from the Trews. And for those who don't know, I was in one of their songs because I play the bagpipes. So the song Highway of Heroes, that's me doing the bagpipe solo in that song. And
Awesome.
And so, and John Angus is like, man, where you been? Where have you been? And I'm like, I don't want to text you all the time. I don't want to like suffocate you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that guy, right? So I kind of, it's all about being respectful, right, Andrew? Like, and
for sure.
And that's been the secret to your sauce.
Well, and at the same time, you get further because they're not trying to, I guess, run away from you, or you're not inconveniencing them, or just outright being a nuisance. Maybe you're legitimately tired. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can have some great conversations because you're actually you're not like screaming like the Beatles and going crazy. And then you get to meet somebody that's like, that's kind of how I met Vince. And we talked about cars, and he's like definitely a car guy. And now
you're not doing cars anymore, though, right, Andrew? Like your cars, like you did some great work, man.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of select stuff. I like doing the vintage hot rods more than anything.
Yeah.
I do the occasional thing where like some rust, like I'm doing on somebody's vehicle in town here. Rick St. Pierre's.
Oh, Rick St. Pierre. I know Rick. Yeah. Wizard Amps.
Yeah. His shop truck, it just needed a bit of work. And I mean, Rick's a friend of mine. And so I'm like, I'll do that. Sure.
Right. Okay,
But,
well,
you know, you'd rather
if
work
you
on an
ever
old hot
decide
rod.
to get back into doing classic hot rods, let me know. We got to get you set up with an Instagram account because that shit will take off, man, for sure.
Oh, the
I've
social
got a
media
note
car
six-
scene's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an '06 Focus that really needs, you know, that. Anyway, Andrew, you're right. Like, I think the signatures and things like that for people that really appreciate bands is the ultimate, like, thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's great. So I wasn't cutting it down, just so you understand.
Yeah.
Oh, no, for sure. I think in my account, each one was pretty much an adventure to get. And I'm not just going to pick somebody because, oh, that's a famous person. It was more the influence in my life that I remember it. I got to meet them, you know, whether it was multiple times or not. And you still hear their music 20 years later, 40 years later, and it still resonates with you.
Well, just like I said off the top, you know, like the Watchmen, you know, my life is a stereo. How loud does it go? Man, that was 12th grade for me. I'm never going to forget, you know, my buddy in his 1986 Mustang. We called it the Rustang. And we'd be ripping around listening to that record, man. Fuck Boneyard Tree. Like, geez, you know, like those are memories, right? I'll never forget that. And same thing. I'd like to switch gears quickly off of tattoos and get to piercings for just a second because, Ken, if I'm not mistaken, during the Thornley years especially, you had the mohawk and you had a lot more piercings then too. Am I wrong in that or?
Yeah. Well, the mohawk is gone. You know, old age and receding hairlines make mohawks hard.
Oh yeah. I know.
The piercings. I mean, all the piercings are still there. I don't think I wear any more jewelry though. No, there was no. The jewelry's all gone. I mean, there was a time.
What was your max? What was your max piercings back in the day?
He's counting.
He's counting in his head, yeah.
Yeah.
17.
17.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Anywhere, like
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay, there's your answer. There's your answer.
I've talked about it at great length. I think the last time that I was interviewed by Dean, we were doing a Thornley interview, and we were supposed to be there to talk about the new record, and Dean talked the entire time about my genital piercings.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Well, it's come full circle. We are on DeanBlundell.com as a podcast network.
Dean's
Jeez.
network talking about my dick. I
Just don't show pictures of it.
Yeah, just don't show and see. Don't get
No.
banned.
Can't do
Chris
that.
has already got enough strikes on him.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, you can say whatever you want, just don't show any nudity. That was the number one rule.
I hear you.
Well, I remember there was a time, and I wish Tommy was here because it's unfortunate that he's sick because he and I were roommates, and we caught every Thornley show on that first record tour, like all over Ontario, man. And there was a time, Ken, and you probably won't remember this. I was a lot bigger back then. I was pushing like 500 pounds. But you guys were in Kingston doing that free FebFest show. It was an outdoor thing in the middle of February. Yeah. And I kind of like jumped out of some potted plant or something at the Four Seasons Hotel where you guys were staying at with a little mini disc recorder. And I don't know why I asked. I just like, hey, do you pee in the shower? And I don't know if you remember that. And I don't remember. I don't have a clip of it because that mini disc recorder is gone.
Did I answer you at the time?
Yeah, and I can't remember what you answered, but
I seem to remember this was on our way out for the show.
Yeah,
and it was just in the hotel. Is that when it was?
Yeah.
Okay, I seem to remember something happening. I remember me and Ian walking to the stage and saying, "What was that?" And I remember sort of both of us just being kind of a little bit flabbergasted at what had just happened. And then suddenly it was really cold and we were on stage and
the
I forgot all
showtime
about it. But
And that young man went off to be a famous morning show host in Barrie, Ontario.
Well,
exactly.
I had some good times in Kingston and Hamilton, and now I'm in Barrie on the air. Big 101 for those who aren't aware, but I want to just let you know how that question played out throughout my career. One of the most famous things that I've done was I asked that question of the Prime Minister.
Wait, you what?
Which one?
The current Prime Minister, back when he was a fledgling member of Parliament.
Oh, okay.
Do you pee in the shower?
What did he
I
say?
have, but I don't make a regular habit of it.
Oh my God.
I have, but I don't make a
Only when
regular
sitting
habit.
down.
Do you pee in the shower?
I have, but I don't make a regular habit of it.
But Ken, you were the first person I ever asked that question to, just for the record.
I'm
all right?
I'm glad that you're finding the answers you're looking for.
He still does that exact pause when he gets stumped on a question too.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Speaking moistly, he's still, yeah, it's the same cadence. He's still. Now, Mark Davis, hailing from Windsor, Ontario, it was all about, when you grew up, it was all about Eminem, right?
Eminem and really, really, really aggressive alternative rock, including Thornley, by the way, which was the soundtrack of my teenage years. But you could not turn on any non-rock station and not hear Eminem once an hour. Yeah. It's across the river. Like, it was, especially when 8 Mile came out, it was just non-stop. Lose Yourself was just played every hour on the hour down there.
Yeah. And you have destroyed all your white rapper material, but there was somebody in. Did you rap battle this person, or there was someone in your scene? Were you guys in a posse, or what was?
No, there was no rap battle scene down in Windsor, and if it was,
Okay.
it would be the saddest thing on earth. It's like I find Windsor culture sort of weird, and I don't know if this happens in like other towns, but it's like you don't hear people say like, "Oh, you're from Kingston," typical. It's like I tell people they're from Windsor, and they're just like, "Ha, ha, 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 ha. How's your 4 stepmoms doing?" Like that kind of thing. Why you pointing, Andrew? You getting that too?
Well, it's the armpits, right?
Oh, right. But no,
because
so
Mark
this
is in Windsor, or was from Windsor, and then Andrew's in Cornwall, Ontario, the left and right armpit of Ontario.
Right. But no, we had this guy who went to my high school. His name was Kyle Spratt. And as a part-time job, he worked at a bingo hall in Windsor, where Kim Mathers, Eminem's ex-wife, frequently went to play bingo with her mom. And I didn't find this out until I saw it in the newspaper, but apparently he was working rather when
Working
Kim
at the
Mathers
bingo
was
hall.
there. Yeah, working at the bingo hall. And she went to go outside to have a smoke. This was back in the day when you just leave your phone around and not think about it. And I guess he stole Kim Mathers' cell phone. And this guy was like an aspiring rapper and proceeded to call Eminem repeatedly, asking him to listen to his demo tape.
It was all about the demo tapes back then too. Remember, like
is it him that was in that song?
Yeah.
the Stan song.
No, this guy was like, they literally, the newspaper article literally said, this is the real life Stan.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I think Chris actually has the audio of him.
It's up on I've got the article up on the screen right now. And yeah, we do have audio of him calling Eminem. Here it is.
Who are you calling for?
Marshall Mathers. Man, my name's Kyle Spratt. I live in Windsor, Ontario. Long story short, I rap. I work at a bingo hall where Kim and her mom play all the time. And I fucking punked off her phone just to get your number to get a hold of you.
You're calling for Marshall?
Yeah, man, I got played on 95.5 a while back. I fucking got expelled for my shit. I just got fired for taking that phone to get a hold of you, bro. I'd take any big risk for my fucking music, man. I just want you to listen to a fucking one track.
Well, you got the wrong number right now. I don't know who you're trying to get a hold of, but there's no one here by that name.
Bro, I'm not fucking dumb. I grew up listening to you. You think I don't know what you sound like doing a fake voice? I got fired for this shit, man. You don't gotta sign me. Just listen to one fucking song and say one word back. Be like whack or sick. That's all I fucking ask, man. I'll leave you the fuck alone. One word.
And then he hung up on him, right?
All I hear when I hear that is just 2007 Windsor slang. My God.
Whack or sick.
No, not even that. When he said he punked her phone. Like, that's what you used to say when you stole things.
Yeah.
Whack, sick, and just saying fucking every other fucking word, just fucking this and fucking that. Like, my God, that brings me back to my upbringing. Oh, my God. I'm so proud and disappointed of this child.
And there was a single, too, right? What was it called? Sellout?
Yeah, so this was what you just played was the intro to this song called Slim Sellout. Let's play a bit of that.
Watch the risky plan that I made fall through. You're a sellout, celebrity, fame strong. Slim sellout, bitch, don't you remember where you came from? You spit shit whack, look at that track fact. You encore in the garbage.
All right, pass. I'm good.
Spit shit whack.
Spit shit whack.
Windsor, Ontario, everybody. Right there. Just
Mark, just be honest with us. That's you. You are.
It's not me.
You are Kyle Spratt. Just be honest. Just be honest with us.
AKA Stan.
Yeah.
I am not Kyle Spratt. I swear to God. Actually, if you Google him, apparently he's still at it too. And
Oh,
this
is he?
Like, yeah, this is like how many years since 2007 has it been? Like, oh my God, almost 15 years. He's still at it.
So
still going.
My question for the pros, for Ken, and I guess have you guys ever had somebody cross the line? Dale, Ken, has there ever been a fan that has gone too far, has got your phone number, has harassed you in that way?
Yes, it inevitably happens. Often it's really a case of mental illness, and instability. I've been very open with my information, and if anybody wants to get a hold of me, my phone number is, I think my phone number is on my friggin' Facebook page. It's just
Nice.
like I'm not cut off.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. But and I have gotten sort of weird calls before. But yeah, anytime that it's gotten to a point where I've had to say to somebody, I remember there was one point with a character who got my phone number and started calling my house. This is when I had a landline, when I was on tour in the 90s with the Watchmen, and was calling my house, and I was touching base with my wife one week, and she said, I've been talking to such and such. And I'm like, who? And she said, this is your friend. And she said, we've been talking for the last couple of nights. He's been calling. I'm like, well, what the fuck? And so, I had to get on the phone with him and say, listen, man, like I gave you my number because I thought you were a cool guy. And, I said, like, reach out to me next year or something, not call my fucking wife.
Yeah.
And, and that was sort of cool. But that was also a state of mind for me too. And that wasn't a mental illness thing. Well, maybe it was, I don't know. I haven't heard from him again, but, I've heard a lot of worse stories than that. I don't really have stalkers. People are people for me anyways. I've been the guy who hangs out after the show and just sits around till everybody's gone. And then I thank the people sweeping the floors, and I, have a beer and a puff, and I go back to the hotel. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe because I've been so open, I don't attract that. And if I do attract it, I know that I have people in my, I recently wrote a blog about what the word fan means to me. I kind of have a hard time with that word because I'm a fan of musicians, and when people tell me that they're a fan of what I do, it doesn't correlate in my mind with what I think when I really look up to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
But I have a lot of people in my life that are just in my life, and some of them are unstable, and sometimes they send me crazy messages, and I kind of go, I bet in a couple of days I'll hear from this person again, and it'll be much more stable. And and you ride along with it. Nobody's threatened my family. Nobody's gotten in my face that much. I've managed to sort of talk it out with everybody. There's been no issues with that type of craziness.
That's good to hear. Yeah. I've got a buddy of mine in Hamilton. Shout out to Dom. I get crazy messages from him out of nowhere, and then I block his number for a while, and then I unblock it.
It's the relationship you have with these people, right?
Yeah.
You got an on-off relationship with a former listener from Kingston?
No, from Hamilton, but
from Hamilton,
he wasn't a listener. He was more of just like, I don't even want to get into the story of Hammer Dom. I'm going to have him on the podcast one day, I think.
Can I be on that one, please?
Yeah, okay. It'll be probably about Manchester, British rock, and the Stone Roses. That would be his specialty, because that's really all I did was just drink vodka till 5 or 6 in the morning in his basement apartment that had you never knew what time it was. I called it Vegas because there was never any clocks, and the blackout drapes. You never knew what time it was. Drinking vodka, listening to the Stone Roses. That's how I know Hammer Dom. Anyways, I digress. Dale, what about you? Have there ever been any instances like that you've felt uncomfortable with, or?
No, you know what? Not really. I mean, maybe at shows, we'd get the odd person that was just a little bit over the top, or somebody just decides they're going to go off of you and tell you how much they fucking hate you. They just at your show. They go, "Oh, I fucking hate you."
What? At your show?
Oh yeah, no, like after a show, it's like they'll start losing their shit. I fucking hate what you're wearing, but why do you have a nose ring? Blah, blah, blah. They gotta go, fuck, you're a fan of the band, you're doing this. I go, so they're just trying to get a reaction out of you, so you're getting more attention. And I naturally act by saying, go fuck yourself, and I leave. Or in instances, I just gotta go, yeah, okay, well, take it easy, man, go fuck yourself too, and you just leave.
Yeah.
But I've really never had anybody really freaky or anything.
That's good.
Like Ken, I do the same open book. I stay around, I talk to people, and I do the same thing, man. Thank everybody, and it's just that's who I am, and that's why him and I are friends too. It's just because we get the liberty and the privilege to be able to do that for a living. It's like doesn't mean I get the right to tell everybody to fuck off. Or I just appreciate it. So at the end of the day.
Something I want to key on that, Ken, you were saying, like, you're also a fan of musicians. You're a fan of music too yourself. And I guess, we talked a lot about Mark and Andrew and fanship. And of course, that's the whole sort of theme here. But like, who are the artists that you guys grew up with idolizing the way that some people may have idolized you?
Oh, well, that's, I don't know if I can quite frame it in that way in my own head.
Sure.
Like when I think of people like Bob Dylan and, Pink Floyd, I can't imagine that anything I've ever done has impacted anybody that way. But at the same time, there's those huge bands that had world impact. But on me, a lot of it was, sort of early 80s hardcore bands, like Canadian bands like SNFU, American bands, Minor Threat, Stiff Little Fingers from the UK, that kind of stuff. That was my early music beginnings, but it was also, at the same time I was listening to Dylan and Floyd. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers anything really.
Well, it answers where the mohawk and the piercings came from.
Yeah, sure. I kind of could tell by when he mentioned Minor Threat. Like, my God.
Yeah. I was listening to discography today. Actually, this morning when I got up, it was funny. My wife is I'm still her caretaker. She's quite ill. She's in recovery and she's still bedridden. So in the mornings I have my coffee and I have to do her leg massages to get her circulation going and stuff. And we have a good time hanging out. But I mean, this morning I got up and I made my coffee and I put my Minor Threat record on and cranked it up in the kitchen. And sort of that was the wake up massage music today. So.
Nice.
Go.
Sort of goes all over the place.
Yeah, just not too easy on the caffeine though. With Minor Threat and too much caffeine, there's going to be too much.
Break her damn leg off.
Yeah, it's too much massage. Too much massage. And then Dale, for you, like, is it some of the classics like Dylan and Floyd, or where was it at for you?
You know what? It's kind of funny. When I got into my teens, it was more rock and roll. I mean, the standard, the Zeppelins and Steppenwolfs and AC/DC, Van Halen. But I grew up with R&B because my mother loved R&B. She played it all the time. And so I grew up listening to a lot of like Sam Cooke and Platters and just some really good old stuff. And that's sort of what my foundation was. And then getting into the harder rock and then trying to learn jazz at freaking school. And then I joined the Headstones. Completely polar opposites of everything. So
I was gonna say it doesn't get any more old school than the Platters. My God.
No. Like I said, we used to take long trips in the car, like drive out to BC and back or PEI and stuff, and I listened to their 8 tracks in the car, and it was just saturated. So it just stuck.
Yeah.
So that's really where I started.
Chris, if you'll forgive me, I got a question for them actually, because I actually like asking this to musicians.
By all means, Mark.
Everybody, like, in their, whether it's their record collection or the CDs or their iTunes, has, like, they got a Katy Perry or a Kesha maybe kicking around. So what is something in your music collection, digital or physical, that we would not expect to be there?
I'll limit it strictly to records, and I'll talk about the current rotation of albums, which is about 30 albums that I keep in a regular rotation. And there are in that collection 2 Harry Styles records.
Whoa!
Oh.
Why Harry Styles though?
Now everybody's dead silent. Nobody was expecting it to get that real.
I did not expect that.
I will, but I'll explain. I'm a 52-year-old father of two young girls who are 21 and 19.
Right.
And they eat dinner with me every night, and on some nights they like to listen to their music, so I've had to buy some of it on vinyl. And the Harry Styles records, I mean, say what you want about that type of music, and I know a lot of people say a lot of things about it. There's some serious talent there, and those records are produced, like, from a production standpoint. You can give me anything, and I can listen to it, and I can find a value in the production or the arrangements or the tone or something. And every now and again, you get these records that are like real pop. Like, my kids are into a lot of this real pop. The Harry Styles is kind of the closest that I can come to, okay, that record can play for 18 minutes. But some of this new stuff is really, really friggin' good. I started listening to I got into it, I think, late to the game, about 4 years ago, started listening to Anderson .Paak. And it's only been recently that I've been seeing like live footage of them and stuff, and just realizing how damn talented a lot of this stuff that's coming out, in mostly digital formats, that I have no band association with this music that I'm hearing, but I'm liking the music. And like Anderson .Paak, for example, I've been listening to for years, and I never, I kind of thought a lot of it was electronica. Same as when I found Alt J for the first time, I thought they were a fully electronic band. When I finally got to see these bands live, and then in person live, and I see like all these musicians making these crazy sounds that are just so wonderful, but it's actual music. Some of this stuff blows me away. So I've learned not to downplay too much of the new stuff. And that's why I can proudly say that in my current rotation, there are 2 Harry Styles albums.
It's also crazy that you can get Harry Styles on vinyl now.
Yeah. The internet has everything.
Yeah, it's all out there. It's so funny. You mentioned you've got daughters. I just had a daughter. We've got a 3-week-old.
Congratulations.
And I can't believe.
Congratulations, yeah.
Thank you.
Man.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. We're at 42 minutes into this podcast, and I haven't heard a peep yet. So I don't know,
Don't
man.
jinx it now.
Yeah, we're all on borrowed time.
Chris is already playing horror movies for her while she's trying to sleep while he's holding her in the middle of the night, like really scary stuff.
Yeah.
And her
FaceTime me. Or you Zoomed me last night, and I'm like, I didn't have my camera on, and I'm like, sorry, I don't have a camera on. I don't have a shirt on. It was one of those massive poops that went everywhere, and I'm like, I got to take my shirt off for this.
Oh, one of those ones where you got to rip all your clothes off and just spread out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a brand new hoodie that I just got. I didn't want to get it damaged. But we
glad that I'm out of that.
We played the clip off the top of the podcast of the demonic child.
AJ, come to see Mama.
The demonic shit.
Yeah, Mike.
You wait till they're on solid food, man. It gets worse.
Oh no.
Here's something to look forward to, Chris. Warm projectile milk.
Mm-hmm. Had that one.
At 3 a.m, it's actually soothing.
I can't get it.
I'm gonna feel like one of Vince Neil's porn stars. Right on the face.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I gotta tell you, there's gonna be desperate times, man. There's gonna be times where you're not gonna know what to do, and you're gonna try ridiculous and crazy things.
Yeah.
And believe me, you're not alone. I remember one night getting up. I can't remember which kid it was, and I was walking downstairs, and I'm doing the shake and I'm doing the walk, and I've just got my underwear on because I'm out of bed, and I'm doing the shake and I'm doing the walk, and Allison and the other one was sleeping, and I didn't want to wake anybody up, and the one's crying and crying and crying, and nothing was happening. I was so tired, and I sat on the couch, and and she was laying there, and I kind of looked down, and she was doing the I want nipple mouth, and I looked down, and I just kind of went, fuck it. She didn't latch, but I tried, man. And had she latched and gone to sleep, I would have been fine with it.
Well, with all those piercings, you might have poked enough of a hole to get something going there.
How old is that child now? How old is that child now, though?
Either 21 or 19.
Have you told them that story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank God.
It was this nipple here, because I only had one nipple pierced for many years, only my right nipple, because my guitar strap, I thought it would interfere. So that was a later piercing. So
right. The later piercing age. That's so funny. Usually the nipples, is an early piercing.
I don't know how I would react if my dad told me, yeah, you wanted a tit once, and I almost gave it to you. I'm like,
if it would have shut you up.
That's why we have bagged milk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm all about being honest.
Yeah. So there's this young person who has this demonic voice.
AJ, come to see Mama.
Up with that.
What if Just for the sake of argument, what if we slowed it down? What if we heard that in slow-mo? Just...
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, if you went into the friggin' the kids' room at night in the crib, you look at it.
Yeah, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sweet dreams, everybody. Have a great night.
Oh, I'm wearing super good headphones right now, too. That's the way it works.
Yeah. Well, we do have to wrap this up in a few moments, but first I want to thank all of you guys. And, of course, Andrew, we'll see you again on Monday. Brian from Helix will be our guest, 9 p.m. on Monday evening.
Fantastic. Say hi to Brian. Wonderful guy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
I've never actually had a pleasure. I mean, he played one of the K-Rock party cruises. Helix was on one of our K-Rock party cruises when I was in Kingston one time, and that's. But I didn't get to meet him much, and so I'll look forward to having him on the podcast here. But I appreciate both Ken. Great having you on, man. Of course, there's been so many great great memories for me, like I said off the top, with, Watchmen and Thornley. And of course, Dale, we appreciate the, you coming on last minute here. Tommy passed the puck. And of course, Dale's resume is heavy with headstones. Atlanta Miles too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And classic albums live, if I can just say, I've never seen a bad classic albums live. It's always tight AF, as the kids say. Yes.
Great, fantastic musicians, man.
They really are. Now, also, I'll just mention, too, we mentioned, that you're on Ken's record a little bit. Ken, when's it out? It's out soon, right?
May 18th. It's called All Together Now. You can read about it on the website. It's coming out. It'll be available in vinyl and on all the digital platforms.
Yeah, I got the pre-order vinyl just on my screen right here in front of me.
Excellent. Mad World's the first song off it. There's a video out for that now. If you want to check it out, it's on YouTube and everywhere else.
Yeah, and then also, Dale, you've got your band. It's Six Social
Band.
6 foot social band, right?
Yeah. So obviously born in COVID times, and just the project is through some people together that I love playing with, and got a couple singles out. One was last June, Sunny Days, and then the latest one that's been out for about 3 weeks now, I guess, called Hurried Up.
Awesome.
I got Maurice Raymond from the Blushing Bride singing it. So it's got a Stones vibe to it. Really does.
That's so cool, man. There was a smoked meat place in Montreal called Smoked Meat Pete's, and I saw the Blushing Brides play there one time.
Yeah.
That was the best, one of the best surprises when I walked in just for some good smoked meat, and then all of a sudden Blushing Brides were there, and I'm like, wow, this night just got even better.
All a bunch of amazing guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Dale Harrison, Ken Tizzard, as well as Andrew Libby, and returning guest. He always is there for me for good laughs and self-deprecating humor, Mark Davis. Thanks again for tuning in to Big Chris Live, the live stream and the podcast. You can subscribe through Apple iTunes and Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify, DeanBlundell.com, and everywhere you find your fine podcasts. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for having me.